This episode is brought to you by the Slash and Cast Podcast Network. Learn more at slashandcast.net.
There are legends around here.
Who died made you fucking king of the zombies?
Even if only in their own minds. Forgotten, but not yet dead.
I want to play a game.
Some have tried to stop them, but they keep coming back.
Don't let the door hit you in the ass on the way out.
Coming to entertain you. They are the Crystal Lake Soldiers.
Welcome back to the Crystal Lake Soldiers podcast. My name's Isaiah, joined tonight by Sean. How are you doing today, sir?
Pretty good, man. How about you?
Not too terrible. Not too terrible. Been quite the week. Week's gone by really fucking quick. And yeah, it's been interesting. But how about you?
Stressful in personal life, man, which I don't want to get into. Just stressful.
Right.
I've been outside of that, man, trying to distract myself. So
yeah,
I finished up the Castlevania show.
Nice.
Which I think the third season was the best, and it's just set up for another season, and it's freaking great, man.
Okay.
Like, I don't want to say anything, but there's just so much going on. It's just cool. They need to keep doing it. And it makes me super excited about the Terminator show they were talking about.
Yeah, definitely.
And I watched some old Lori Loughlin movies. I watched Rad, and then I just got the Blu-ray for New Kids in the mail the other day. So
Okay.
Those are both pretty good. Rad's awesome, man. Ted's always bragging about that. But I finally dug into that one. It's great.
I still haven't opened mine since I got it from the sale.
Yeah, I was like, man, I got to watch this damn thing. It's great, man. That's one I just remember from when I was young, so it's fun.
Yeah.
And I got my Psycho Goreman pre-order, which I'm glad. I normally don't pre-order movies I haven't seen, but this one was worth it, man. I would give it a 4 out of 5. Like,
okay,
it's fun, real fun, man. And it's got a corny ending, but it's like good corny. Definitely worth a watch, man, if you love the B cornball stuff.
All right, cool. Because I got mine in the mail Saturday, so super excited to check that out because I've been wanting to see that since we first talked about it on the show. So I'm super pumped to actually check that out.
Did you open it up?
I have not yet.
Inside, man, I don't think it's real, but it's like this. It looks almost like the old Nintendo manuals, and it's like a catalog of all this Psycho Goreman theme stuff from the movie.
Oh, fucking cool. All right, I got to open that sucker up tonight and check that out.
And that's about it, man.
All right.
Well, that's news. I guess I can wait on that.
Sure. Well, we'll definitely get into some news because I've got a couple things myself to kind of bring up. But for myself, this week has been kind of all over the place. I know I talked to you guys about this, but I spent like a whole day trying to buy a PS5 this week, and I spent 8 fucking hours between Amazon, which never released the fucking systems that they have because they almost have 50,000 in stock. Yeah. Spent 4.5 hours fucking refreshing to order that fucker for them just to be like, oh, we're not actually releasing him today like we were planning. And then Walmart did it, and I should have known better than trying to do Walmart with the whole fucking refreshing and then them doing it in waves every 10 minutes because that was a fucking shit show.
Yeah, it's like, what are you doing? Releasing 500 units and then they're going in less than a second?
Exactly. And then Best Buy had a release that same day too. And then I just fucking gave up. I tried once. I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. It's not even worth my time anymore. I'm just so fucking over it.
I know your pain, dude. That's why I gave up. I look at it as a blessing because it made me buy a Switch, which I love now. So.
Yeah, I've been fucking loving my Switch. I mean, I do need to get the PS5 just because my PS4 is on its last legs, and I don't want to buy another fucking PS4 just to then end up buying a PS5 because that's just wasting more fucking money.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping
that was my main reason too. I'm just trying to upgrade.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get mine before mine finally just kicks the bucket, and then I'm fucking screwed. Because I don't want to spend that money if I don't have to. and because that's an extra $200 to $300 that I don't want to spend if I don't have to. But so I spent a day doing that. On top of that, I've been kind of getting into Sea of Thieves with some of the people from the podcast network. And that's been a lot of fun. That's actually a really fun game. At first, I didn't want to play it for the longest time when it was out, but it's so much fun just fucking going around, sailing around to different islands and, digging for treasure, fighting with skeletons, and then, doing battles on the ships and whatnot and having to repair your ship while you're in battle. That gets very hectic, but a lot of fucking fun. And beyond that, I've been doing a lot of Animal Crossing still. I mean, that game's fucking addicting. And then beyond that, I watched that because I got SwearNet, like I was talking about last week. And I ended up watching that whole season of that Trailer Park Boys jail that they did. And it's fucking, for $1.99 a month, I think SwearNet is worth it just to watch that. Because it's literally like just a new season of Trailer Park Boys. It takes place in jail. It's not like the other ones where they're out of the park or whatnot, where it feels like it's watered down Trailer Park Boys. No, this is like straight Trailer Park Boys with like a lot of the characters from the show in there. But obviously, they've got a scaled down budget and whatnot because they're doing it exclusively through SwearNet and not having that budget they would have if they did it through Netflix. But it's nice because they do it. It mostly takes place at the jail, but then you do have scenes that take place at Sunnyvale. So there's a good combination of everything there. So I think it's well worth it.
I kind of thought when you said the jail thing, I was like, man, that might be a way for them to kind of get back to their roots.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I feel like, man, they get a little big and it's fun, but every time, once they go back to just doing shit themselves is when they come out with the best material.
Yep. Agreed. Because I really like the animated series that they've been doing, but I've really missed like live action Trailer Park Boys.
Yeah.
And one thing I did like with this is that they had like a nice little tribute to John Dunsworth in here. They had kind of a little sentimental moment with like Randy and Bubbles talking about Leahy, which was kind of nice.
Very cool.
So definitely well worth it. I highly recommend if anybody out there is a Trailer Park Boys fan, subscribe to SwearNet. I mean, beyond just having this 10-episode season of Trailer Park Boys, basically, they've got a lot of other things. They've got a lot of like behind-the-scenes stuff. They've got other things like liquor stories with Jim Leahy. I mean, they've got a ton of fucking shit. And learning guitar with Bubbles. I mean, it's there's a lot of good stuff on there. So I highly, highly recommend it. For $2 a month. I mean, that's less than a coffee,
Yeah,
so I think it's well worth it. And it's supporting them because, I mean, those guys actually own the trademark for Trailer Park Boys, so they can do whatever they want with it. And, if they're getting good revenue from this, what's stopping them from actually doing more stuff like that Trailer Park Boys jail season, on SwearNet? There's a lot that they could do if they're getting the money for it. So I want to support that.
Damn right.
But beyond that, I've been watching some more like old school wrestling. I've been ended up watching WrestleMania 10 because I'm trying to go through some of the WrestleManias, getting ready for WrestleMania this year. Seeing as it's going to be semi-normal with people being in attendance this year, and not like last year where it was really fucking awkward with nobody.
I'm looking forward to having fans in the show.
Yeah, definitely. So I've been kind of just getting ready for that because obviously WrestleMania is coming up. What is it, the 10th and 11th of April?
Yeah,
something like that.
So. Be here before you know it.
Right. It's 3 weeks away. Yeah, the 10th and 11th. So doing a 2-day event just like last year, but which I think that'll be nice for this year just to kind of split it up, especially with, the restrictions and whatnot. It helps to get more fans in there.
Yeah.
So
I'm kind of used to, honestly, WrestleMania is a weekend. So it has been, even before they were splitting it up because of NXT and other shit going on, man. It's easy to get occupied for the weekend.
Yep.
And I do the same thing you do. I watch the old ones. I forgot to mention, I watched the first one. That's all I've watched so far.
Okay.
I was testing out the Peacock, basically.
Yeah, I got to test that out here soon. I haven't signed up yet for it because I know the network subscription expired, so I got to sign up for
What's
that.
weird, man? I'm confused because I thought I was gonna I thought it was you pay for the Peacock and then you'd have to pay like an extra fee to get the WWE thing.
Nope.
But it's just part of it because I get the Peacock free and it's part of the free shit that I get. So
Yep.
I was like, heck yeah, man, can't beat that.
Yeah, definitely. What's nice is I think you can do like the $5 option, like for people like me that don't get it for free.
Yeah.
And what's nice is that they said that with the live events, like WrestleMania and whatnot, they're not going to have commercials running during it. It's just that they'll do it afterwards when it's on demand. So
yeah, I kind of figure that because I've had Fastlane on all night and I haven't seen it other than the normal WWE type stuff. You know what I mean? I haven't seen an actual commercial break. But when I watched WrestleMania, there was 2, which for 3 hours, 2 breaks.
It's not bad.
Bad,
So yeah, I gotta get myself signed up for that. And plus, I mean, I want to be able to watch The Office again, seeing as I can't watch that on Netflix now.
They got a bunch of stuff on there, man.
Yeah,
I mean, it's mainly old school. They got a few exclusive things.
Definitely.
It's not bad for $5, honestly.
No, God, no, definitely not. But I'll probably end up getting the $10 option because that's what I was paying for the network anyways, just so I don't have the fucking commercials. So
yeah,
that's probably my plan, at least for now. You know, we'll see how it goes. But yeah, beyond that though, besides watching the Trailer Park Boys thing and like old WrestleManias and stuff, I haven't been doing a whole lot else besides that. Just working, really, and playing Animal Crossing and Sea of Thieves because I'm getting hooked on Sea of Thieves now. So playing with Kyle from Trick or Treaters podcast, and then Cece's husband. Cece's from the Scream Queen. So we've been playing that a little bit. So it's been a lot of fun, and that's on Xbox Live. Seeing as I got that on my computer, so I've been downloading and playing a bunch of those games. So it's been a lot of fun. But beyond that, then that's about all I've had going on this week. So not a whole lot really going on in my life right now. Just kind of passing the time, just wishing we were going to fucking Texas Fright Me here in about a month, but that ain't happening. So, but
yeah, I'm just being patient.
Same. As much as it sucks, I'm still taking that week off next month because I just need a break from work too. So
yeah.
I don't know what I'm gonna do, but I'm gonna take that week off still and just kind of relax. And
yeah, I'm looking forward to the Joe Bob and find out when these tickets go on sale.
Yeah, I'm still tempted to do that. I don't know if I'm gonna do it or not, but because I keep going back and forth because I really want to go to it. But then at the same time, I'd rather save money too for Texas Frightmare.
Yeah.
And Orlando, seeing as I'll be going there right after Texas Frightmare. So it's so hard to decide what I want to fucking do. So we'll see what happens. Because I mean, those tickets go on sale next month if I remember right. So I got a little bit of time to decide and to even see if it's going to be worth it for me to go. You know, depending on the ticket prices for it.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
yeah, because they're not, they're a little bit different than they used to be there.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, beyond that, I've been doing a little bit of planning too because I want to look at next year. I want to go back down to Dallas for WrestleMania, so I do want to hit that up next year, and especially after because WrestleMania will happen after I get my bonus from work. As long as I'm still getting a bonus from work, because that's a whole other thing where like my whole department basically is being broken off to their own company. So that's going to be interesting to see how that's all going to work. But yeah, so I'm planning on looking at going back to WrestleMania next year. I think that would be a lot of fun too. Be the first time I've been to a wrestling event actually since WrestleMania. So.
Oh, those are good ones to go to.
Exactly. You might as well go big if you're going to go. So, be the first full-fledged WrestleMania in 2 years, obviously. So, but speaking of wrestling, did you see about how they're doing like 2 Hall of Fame classes this year now?
I saw they were announcing new ones, so I kind of thought, well, maybe they were just adding. I wasn't sure. what was going on?
Yeah, so they've got the 2020 class, which is still remaining the same, than minus maybe Batista, because I guess his thing was removed, so I don't know if he's actually going into the Hall of Fame anymore.
Well, that doesn't upset me.
No. But, yeah, like they've announced Molly Holly, and she's a part of the 2021 class, and obviously they've been announcing new inductees for this year. So it's
Eric
interesting.
Bischoff was the other one I heard.
Yes, Bischoff. Thank you. That's who I was forgetting. So Bischoff was announced also. So it's going to be interesting how they're going to do that with, because that's going to be a lot of fucking people if they're going to do it all in one night, for the ceremony. Which those Hall of Fame ceremonies, obviously, it's not going to go nearly as long as it normally would because you're not going to have the fucking crowd there to rile up the wrestlers being inducted. So. It could probably go a lot more smoothly.
No Michael Hayes running around singing.
Right.
To the whole audience.
Yep. Exactly. No Mr. T rambling on for 30 minutes about his mama. Oh, good stuff. But yeah, so it'll be interesting just to see how they do that, and especially if they got that many people, because I mean it's still probably going to be a huge long event, because Hall of Fame usually runs 3 to 4 hours easily.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite things.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
I like reminiscing with the wrestlers.
Yep. Exactly. So that'll be a lot of fun just to see how they end up doing that, because I guess from what they were saying that it's probably going to be the same kind of setup as they normally do for the Hall of Fame. Obviously with the stage and everything, but obviously it's probably going to have like the Thunderdome set up with like the fans and whatnot. I would imagine. Unless they decide to do something totally different. So, who knows? That all remains to be seen. So, we'll see what happens. But super excited for WrestleMania this year. I definitely wasn't excited last year with everything going on because I didn't want to fucking know empty arena fucking WrestleMania, because that definitely did not feel like WrestleMania at all.
Not at all. Yeah.
So, it is what it is. I mean, they did what they had to. They should have just canceled it or postponed it or something. Even if they would have,
show must go on, Dad.
Right. I understand that, but
just ask Owen Hart.
God, that's a whole other.
That was a bad joke. Sorry.
Jesus. All right. Well, let's talk a little bit of news here. I had a couple things, and I know you said you had something. Just to kind of kick things off, we got more information about the new Resident Evil movie this week. So the official title of the new Resident Evil movie is Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City. And we had talked about previously where it combines elements from the first two games. So that has been confirmed that is exactly what's happening. And the movie actually takes place in 1998 and will feature both the Spencer Mansion and the Raccoon City Police Department. So it's going to feature both of those places in this. IGN actually did a interview with the director Johannes Roberts, who says that he wanted to focus on the tone of the film, and he said the thing that he loved about the games were they were just scary as hell, and that's what he wanted to try to capture, was that kind of atmosphere. So it's raining, it's constantly dark, it's creepy, and that kind of thing. And also he said he was pulling inspiration from like John Carpenter with like Assault on Precinct 13 and The Fog and like how he wanted to capture the feel of the film. So it's very, very positive what he's saying. It remains to be seen what's going to come across on the screen, but that gives me at least hope for this, because obviously the other Resident Evil movies, I didn't like them at all. I mean,
I'm not a big fan of that franchise either, man. The only one I can really watch is the very first one they did, because it's somewhat of a horror movie.
Exactly.
After that, they're just action flicks. But
yes, exactly.
And they had no connection to the games, which the games were so great. So that does sound really cool, man. I hope it sounds like a horror flick, man. So
yes,
sounds cool, man. I like it
very much so. And so that movie comes out September 3rd of this year. So should be able to see it in theaters. Seeing as a lot of things are reopening with regards to theaters in the coming months before Memorial Day. So it'll be exciting to be able to see that in theaters, and just to see movies in general in theaters. Kind of moving on from there, though, we did get more information about the new season of American Horror Story. Not a whole lot of information, but Ryan Murphy, who obviously is the producer of the show, confirmed the new subtitle of the show or whatever. So it's called American Horror Story Double Feature. So it's going to be 2 stories within the 1 season, which, I have my issues with American Horror Story. The first few seasons were great, but like it's so convoluted with this show. And so trying to break it up with 2 stories within a season where it already seems like with the show, especially in the later seasons, that they just don't have enough time to let the story breathe and like kind of naturally progress. It just seems like they're constantly like moving too quickly. So I don't know how it's going to work with this, with the 2 stories in 1 season, and I don't know how I feel about it.
Like they'll be even more cluttered.
Yeah. So who knows? Maybe it'll do it very well, and this is maybe what it needed, for this season. I don't know, because this is supposed to be like their biggest season yet, and they're breaking it up into 2 different stories. I'm not 100% behind that, but I'm very like cautious when it comes to American Horror Story, just because, like I said, I enjoyed the first like 3 seasons. Beyond that, though, I haven't really liked any of them. So,
yeah, the little bit I've seen, I haven't been big on. So I tried to watch that '80s one, and I couldn't stay with it. So
yeah, so it'll be interesting to see what happens. That's coming later this year. Kind of going back to movies, though, the thing I wanted to kind of touch on majorly with regards to news this week is we got a lot of information regarding the new Texas Chainsaw Massacre that's coming this year. So Fede Alvarez did a interview with Bloody Disgusting's The Boo Crew podcast this week, and Alvarez confirmed that the new movie is indeed a sequel to the original movie, so they're going back to the whole direct sequel to the original. And it's going to be set many years after the events of that movie, with Leatherface as a much older man. So we got confirmation of who's playing Leatherface as well. So we have Mark Burnham from Lowlife, who's going to be the latest actor to don the mask and the chainsaw in this. But we also got the news that they're bringing back the character Sally Hardesty in this movie. And so that's going to be played by Mandy and Sea Fever actress. And I'm sure I'm going to butcher this name, but her name's Olwen Fourier. So she'll be playing a much older Sally Hardesty in this as well.
Everyone's getting old.
Right? I mean, it's sad that obviously we can't have Marilyn Burns back because obviously she passed away, 6-7 years ago. So it's unfortunate that she wasn't able to come back for that because of that. It's going to be interesting to see both Sally Hardesty back, and because this is the first time that her character is actually going to be in the franchise again since the first movie. And so,
yeah, that's cool, man. It should be good. We'll see.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting, and I do like what also Fede Alvarez had said is that they wanted to go with a more old school approach with this movie. So just like they did with the Evil Dead remake, is like a lot of the old school like effects with like the gore and everything is going to be very practical, and they don't want to do anything like VFX. So they want to try to stay away from the.
After watching this week's movie, that's refreshing to hear.
Well,
first shot.
Well, to be fair, Dawn of the Dead, they did mostly practical effects.
No,
in the movie.
I know. It's just in there some.
There is some, yes. There is some. And we'll get into that because I do have one scene in particular that really irks me with that movie. So we'll get into that here shortly. The last thing I had for news for what I had for this week is Maneater is finally coming to the Switch. So Maneater is basically the Jaws simulator. And so people have been able to enjoy that on PS4, PC, and Xbox One. So that's finally come to the Switch in May on the 25th. So that's pretty exciting because I've been wanting to play that game. I've been kind of holding off on buying it. I grabbed the PS5 version of it when it was free through the PlayStation Network when that was first done for the first game of the month for the PS5, but obviously I haven't been able to play because I don't have a PS5 yet. So So I've been kind of holding off, but I might end up buying this on the Switch just because I can always use more games for the Switch. So,
I actually heard about that. I haven't played that yet, but it looks fun, man. There's some other shark game out there, so it's like I'm not buying another shark game, but maybe on the Switch I will.
It'll be a lot of fun. But that's all I had for news for this week. What did you have?
Yeah, I only got excuse me. I only got one thing, man. It's a Blu-ray release, actually. I'm doing Ted's job for him. So. But Kino Lorber is going to release something that hasn't even been released on DVD, man. It's Body Slam on June 15th, starring Roddy Piper and Captain Lou Albano.
Really?
It's a fun one from like the mid-'80s, man. Dirk Benedict, I think, is the other guy, but playing Harry Smilak. It's got a bunch of wrestlers in it, man. Tonga Kid, the Barbarian, Warlord, you name it, man. There's so many wrestlers in this movie.
Okay.
But it's just a fun rock and roll wrestling kind of connection thing. The guy's like a rock and roll agent, and Roddy's obviously a wrestler, and they work together and kind of do the whole rock and wrestling angle that Vince did. But it's a decent 80s flick, man. So good to see that getting a release.
That's awesome. I didn't even hear about that.
Bootleg of that, so I'm happy.
That's great. That's awesome. That's definitely going to be a pre-order for me. That's for sure.
Oh yeah, I don't think it's up for pre-order just yet, but can't be too much longer. So
definitely.
Yeah, I was fishing through their sale and their catalog and happened to see that. I was like, oh hell yeah, man.
Yeah, I ended up spending quite a bit of money with Kino during the recent sale.
I don't want to talk about it. It's a great sale, though.
Yes, definitely. It was. But I digress. So, are you ready to talk about Dawn of the Dead?
Yeah.
All right. Let's go ahead and get into it. Let's talk about 2004's Dawn of the Dead.
Is this an international health hazard or a military concern?
Both.
Are these things alive or dead?
We don't know.
When there is no more room in hell, the dead will walk the earth. Dawn of the Dead, rated R.
Is everyone dead? Dead-ish.
All right, so Dawn of the Dead was released on March 19th, 2004. It was directed by Zack Snyder. This was actually his debut directorial credit. The cast, they actually had a pretty impressive cast for this movie. So they had Sarah Polley, Ving Rhames, Jake Weber, Mekhi Phifer, and Ty Burrell. This had a budget of about $26 million and grossed a little over $102 million worldwide during its initial release, which honestly isn't too bad for a fucking horror movie, especially a zombie movie at the time. So a little bit of trivia with regards to this movie is when Ving Rhames actually heard a remake of Dawn of the Dead was in production, he actually tracked down the producers to be in the film. Some of the camera crew would wear plastic sheeting during filming some of the gorier scenes in this due to the amount of fake blood that was flying around. And they actually talked a lot about that during like the special features on the DVD or the Blu-ray. They had a really good like behind the scenes look at like all the makeup effects in this movie and whatnot. And it's so cool. And you had David Leroy Anderson and Heather Langenkamp were kind of like their company was over doing the effects, which it was really cool to see that. And just kind of their whole process with doing like just these ton of zombies and all these different like effects that they were doing in this movie. And then to kind of go along with that, not really effects-wise, but kind of like just stylized-wise, the opening credits were done by a designer by the name of Kyle Cooper, and he actually used real human blood when designing the film's opening and closing credits. So when it kind of blows away, that was actual blood that he was using. So I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah, that's cool. I actually saw right when they finished filming this movie. I saw Zack Snyder and Sarah Polley, a couple of them. I can't remember who all it was. It was one of the last Fangoria events I ever went to, and they did a little panel. Ving Rhames was supposed to be there, who I wanted to see, but he didn't make it. But they gave me high hopes in the panel.
Yeah,
and I was kind of, I don't know. I've said before, I'm not a huge fan of this. So.
Which it's all right. I mean, not everybody's a huge fan of this movie. I personally fucking love this movie. It's probably one of my top 5 favorite remakes that are out there for sure. And actually probably top 5 zombie movie too.
Yeah, most people I come across, man, they seem to love this movie.
Yeah.
Like,
I
don't know, man. Like you love the George Romero shit too.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
just there's something about that it's ruined all other zombie shit for me.
Sure.
I don't know how else to explain it. Outside of Return of the Living Dead, which is like its own rock and roll show.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Yeah, like obviously I'm gonna prefer the original Dawn of the Dead over this every day of the week. It's my favorite zombie movie and probably my top 2 favorite horror movies of all time. So that's never going to change. So this one, as much as I love it, it's not nearly as much loved as the original. But I like what they did with this because obviously, even though it's not really considered a zombie movie, like 28 Days Later kind of started this whole thing with the fast moving infected or zombies or whatever the case you want to call it. There was definitely a lot of like influence from that aspect because that movie, like, it gets your fucking adrenaline going because, like, holy shit, these fuckers are fucking fast. So, I mean, having it with this, I think it works to its benefit, especially around this time when it was released and whatnot. Because obviously I can see the argument where the slow moving kind of shambling zombie isn't as scary. I get it. So this is like more fierce.
That's one of my complaints. I don't like the fast movie zombies. I don't mind it in the 20 Days Later because I don't really look at them as zombies.
Exactly.
But it's hard for me to see dead, rotting people moving fast.
Right.
And more of a problem I have, though, than them moving fast is they're changing. I feel like her husband, that was the first thing I've noticed that I was upset about. I was like, he was literally bit, died on the bed, bled out on the bed, and then jumped out of the bed ready to eat.
Right.
I just thought that was a little fucking fast.
It was a little quick.
But a lot of my complaints of this movie, it's not a bad movie before I complain more. It's not a bad movie. It's just my little zombie corpse, man. It's me more than it's the movie. So.
Sure. No, I get it. But yeah, I mean, definitely the more adrenaline pumping, I get what the appeal with that is. And honestly, for being a first movie for Zack Snyder, I think he really nailed it and hit it out of the park. Because I mean, with Zack Snyder, a lot of his movies can be hit or miss, or the ones that he's done have been kind of hit or miss. Because you had this, then you had Sucker Punch. Sucker Punch was a fucking terrible movie, but then you had Man of Steel, which was okay. I personally loved Batman versus Superman. If we're talking like the unrated edition, because that's the way it should have been. And I thought that was a great movie. And obviously Justice League, that's the other thing I forgot. I watched Justice League this weekend. Fucking highly recommend it. It's so much better than 27.
I saw the 4 hours and I was like, I'm going to wait.
Oh my God. It doesn't feel like it's 4 hours long though. It really doesn't. But that's a whole other story. I did watch that. Fucking amazing. Can't wait to buy it on Blu-ray and highly recommend it. But so, I mean, he's had some good things that he's done, as a director. And this is just, I just think it's so well done. And you have him directing it. James Gunn, who obviously Guardians of the Galaxy and whatnot, wrote the movie. The writings in this is really good. Like, I really like the characters in this. I think they did.
Go ahead, you say yours, man. Go ahead.
I like what they did with the characters. Like, almost everybody. Like Sarah Polley, I didn't really care for her character that much.
I can't stand her.
Like, I understand that she's supposed to be the main character, but she felt more of like a side character than anything,
Yes, the social justice warrior side character. Trying to save everybody and constantly causing problems.
Yeah. Like, I really felt like Ving Rhames was like more like the lead character in this movie,
Yeah, I enjoyed his performance. I don't, it's not his best performance, but he's one of the things I did enjoy in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
I like his relationship with the gun shop owner too.
Yes, Andy.
That comes later. Yeah, so I did like that, and I like Tom Savini's little
sheriff character
thing in with the Twitchers. But
that was good.
I think they just go a little overly dramatic in this one. man.
Okay.
I don't know. I think they're trying to create a sense of dread where, I don't know, it just didn't come across that way to me. It was just a little heavy on the drama, especially from Sarah Polley's character, maybe. Well,
yeah, her character just overall, like, it wasn't bad. I'm not gonna like shit on the character. It is what it is. I just don't think she felt like a main character in this, which is really weird because she's like the main character in this movie. It just didn't feel like it. Like, you had the whole dynamic between her and the other guy, and their whole romance thing kind of budding in the mall. And
you mean Mr. Kevin Spacey wannabe? I couldn't hit it the whole movie, and then towards the end when he's about to say goodbye to her, it hit me. I was like, man, he's trying to be Kevin Spacey this whole fucking movie.
So it is what it is. It just really didn't feel like a main character in with how everything kind of played out. It is what it is. The one character I did like was Ty Burrell's character in this, because the dude is so funny in Modern Family, and just to see him play this prick, and he does a really good job of just making you hate his fucking guts. Yeah. And that just speaks to him as a fucking actor when he's playing this character Steve in this movie, because he's really hateable in this movie, but in Modern Family he's just so funny and he's just so lovable.
He's so lovable in Modern Family. He's such a just cool, clunky dad, but in this he's such a rich prick. But I love his smart ass attitude. Like, even though he's a prick, he's kind of right. It's like, yeah, let's go get the boat and drive through the zombies. That's a great fucking idea.
Yes.
I was like, I was on his side on that one. This is fucking stupid.
Exactly.
Y'all can go by yourselves.
Oh my god! So I did talk about how I loved like the practical effects that they did in this movie. The one effect in this movie, though, that really pisses me off that they did, because they just should have never did it, was the fucking baby. Because
I hate that whole angle. Period.
Oh my god! Number one, it looks so CG, you know, because obviously it was a CGI thing that they did, and it was like the main CGI thing that they did in this movie, and it looks so fucking terrible. And like, I didn't necessarily mind the whole zombie baby angle, even though it's very, very far-fetched. But at the same time, if they're going to do it, they shouldn't have did a fucking CGI baby, you know? Yeah.
I liked him trying to, like, do what he did to keep his family, and he was thinking, like, that was cool, but that, you know, the whole it was born and it's a zombie, I just thought that was corny, man.
Mm-hmm.
I think it would have been better if the lady would just came in and shot her. Like, they didn't even have to have the baby be born.
Right.
Or maybe, you know, he come to the realization and he kill her himself. Like, that would have been more impactful to me.
Yeah. I agree 100% on that.
I like him as an actor, but I hated his role in this movie. That was like the first, him and Ving Rhames interaction in the bathroom. It was just such a typical ass scene from movies. I've had the ghetto life, and shut the fuck up. I can't stand that shit. Thought I was watching Dawn of the Dead, not Menace to Society.
Right. Oh Jesus! Not everything's perfect in this movie. I mean, it's a very obvious. It's. I mean, it's a horror movie. I mean, you know.
Yeah, I'm just mean to it because I don't like
it. That's okay. The other part, you know, not CG wise. I was gonna say CGI wise, but VFX wise is the thing I didn't care for, and you kind of talked about it a little bit. Was just kind of the running zombies when they're decaying, because towards the end there, that really kind of takes me out of it. As much as I still like it, it
felt like a video game almost,
right?
With the overhead shots, and like you could tell it wasn't real.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it just really takes me out of it because you're not going to have decaying bodies like that running like they're alive human beings. I can understand if they're freshly dead, like in the beginning of the movie, being able to run like that. But I think there should have been like a decline in how fast they're moving as they're starting to decay more, because they should not be fucking running full sprinting, you know, towards the end of the movie if they're all decaying like that. It'd be one thing.
Something a lot of the new zombie movies miss out on, man, is other than Walking Dead, I think is the only one. Even though they kind of lost me at some point. But is the returned from the grave zombies and the half dead rot ones? Everybody's just a bunch of infected, fresh people running around. It's like,
yep,
supposed to be all of them. You know what I mean? They're all coming back.
Exactly.
That's a side note.
But there are some good moments of tension in this movie. One that comes to mind is when they go down to into the garage when they're when the lights go out and they're trying to find the generator and whatnot.
Yeah, that's probably like one of my favorite scenes, if not my favorite scenes, up until they actually get to the gas generator.
Yes.
Then I thought them setting the zombies on fire should have caused an explosion like in Night of the Living Dead. Anyways.
But that whole, when we first get introduced...
It was tense, man. It's dark.
Yes.
Not to cut you out, but it's dark. Then you see the dog at first, which the dog is just a distraction.
And then that amputee that played the zombie with the no legs crawling across the fucking ceiling. That, like, when I first watched this movie when it first came out, that honestly scared the shit out of me because I wasn't expecting it. Just seeing him just going across the fucking pipes and whatnot, and then just dropping on the dude. I'm just like, oh fuck. So that creeped me out the first time I watched it. And yeah, I mean, that was great because it was super dark, and obviously you're not gonna be able to see where they're coming from and whatnot. So I like that aspect. That reminded me a lot of like 28 Days Later when they're going through the tunnel or whatnot in that movie, and they're coming from the other side. So yeah, that kind of tension I love with these kind of movies. Beyond that, you had that stupid bitch that took the truck to go to the gun store to chase after the fucking dog.
Well, how about when the truck first shows up? I want to talk about that first.
Sure.
Because they let all them fucking people in there. I might have let some people in, but that fucking fat woman had to stay outside. She was obviously fucking infected. Something was wrong with her. Like, letting her in was a big fucking mistake. I was like, of course, I'd have been with the security guys. I wouldn't have let nobody come in to start with.
Right.
They had to leave. If I'd have been on their side, like, I completely understand trying to convince them, but if I'd have been in that mall first, I'd have shot them. Get away. That sounds terrible, but that's a fucked up situation, man.
Find your own damn place.
Yeah. Anyways, yeah, that fat one. But then I thought, I wrote that on here. My doggy. That shit annoyed the fuck out of me. My dog. Like, Andy's already dead, so that's not her fault. But,
right.
Jeez, man.
They had already established that the zombies aren't going to go after the dog, and she's freaking out about the fucking dog.
Yeah, she'd have got left at that point, too. And her little boyfriend, who knew her all of, like, a week, could have stayed with her.
Oh, yeah, I remember reading something just a little while ago about kind of the time frame with regards to this movie. And they estimated, just based on how everything kind of went, the events in this movie took place over the course of, like, a month. So they were like in this mall for like a fucking month. And so it obviously wasn't a whole lot of time, and yet,
well, I mean, I'm making fun of them, but their love was more realistic and believable than the two main people we were looking at. So.
Yes. So true.
Kevin Spacey and what's her face?
Sarah Polly.
Yes.
God.
He's just so, it's okay. We'll be all right. We can do this, guys. But I'm going to have to shoot him in the head.
I like how they're in the bus, and because they fucking rigged up those buses, and those buses look badass, by the way. That's just a side note.
That's the first time he seemed real. He's like, cool, huh?
And then his whole thing, this is where some of the writing gets a little cheesy when he does the whole thing like, I'm trying. And she's like, I know. And they kiss. I'm like, what the fuck is this? This is so bad.
She got over her husband pretty fast, but
yeah, no kidding. Jesus.
I always thought that about Walking Dead, not to get too sidetracked. A lot of people tried to sympathize with his wife, and I thought, man, Rick was gone for how long? And she starts screwing someone, not just anybody, but his best friend.
Right.
Yeah, she's a great person.
Oh man. Much as I love James Gunn, some of the writing in here can be a little cringy, for sure.
How about I got a nickname for him, man? Tucker Two Pistols. I love that scene, man. All for him to get killed anyways.
Yes. He's being pulled and he's just nailing these fucking zombies, headshots left and right.
Yeah.
Fucking broken legs being dragged through the fucking sewer. I mean, Jesus. Poor guy.
Hey, that sucked. Fall through a manhole. I was like, that would have happened to me. That would have been me. All that shit going out, fall through the fucking manhole.
Poor Tucker.
How'd you die? It wasn't the zombies. My dumbass fell through a manhole. That's probably better, actually, though. Until he got attacked. Anyways.
Mm-hmm. What about the headshot on Andy when they go to the gun store, though?
Yeah,
that was a cool fucking explosion, just like the original Dawn of the Dead. I think it was a good call out to that, and that head just fucking blew. I mean,
like I thought that was the best call out to it.
Mm-hmm.
They did the little store name, which was okay.
Galen Ross, yep.
Yeah, I thought some of the other stuff. I love Tony or
Ken Foree.
Ken Foree, but I don't know. That scene just didn't work for me. So. It just felt so out of place and thrown in.
Yeah.
But at least they tried to do something, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. And then you had Scott Reiniger, who was playing that colonel or whatever at Camp or Fort David or whatever it is, or Fort Pastor, sorry. So they had a few nice call outs. So, I mean, overall, there was something else I wanted to talk about here.
I want to say their plan to get on the boat, I thought was ignorant. To think that you're going to find an island where people aren't, I don't know, man. I thought it was kind of ignorant. Like, islands have people too. Like,
right.
Maybe they weren't thinking big enough. Because I thought she made a comment. She's like, it's the bites. I think it's the bites. And I was like, you think so? Like, how did it take you that long to figure this shit out? I don't know. So I didn't like the island, even though I understand the thought of, can we really sit here forever? Because at some point they couldn't,
Right.
I just don't know if the island idea was great. But I enjoy the hell out of the clips at the end where you get to see what happens as they try to find the island.
So, yes. That ending.
That was cool.
Yeah, those ending and opening credits are so fucking good. Like that opening sequence with like the news footage mixed with the quote unquote news footage. Obviously, it's stuff that they made for the movie, and then mixing with the Johnny Cash song and the blood credits. The whole thing was just fucking well done. And then the end credits where they have the flashes of Steve's like past life with hookers or whatever, and then the stuff that they were recording at that point, and getting to the island, and then breaking into Down with the Sickness at the very end. I thought that was great. But yeah, the whole escape thing with the buses, I thought was a really well done scene, and I thought that brought up a lot of tension too, just having thousands of zombies surrounding the buses and then them blowing up a good portion of them with propane tanks. I thought was a great touch to kind of clear the way. And then, yeah, I mean, I still had something else I wanted to cover. I don't remember what it is, but whatever. Honestly, just with this movie in general, I really like this movie a lot, and I have ever since it came out. And I know not everybody's a fan of it. That's pretty obvious. But like I said, it's probably one of my favorite remakes that are out there. And actually, the two, well, there's three George Romero remakes I really like. Obviously, the first one being Night of the Living Dead, that was done by Tom Savini. This one, and then The Crazies. Like Day of the Dead, that can fuck off with regards to the remakes.
Yeah, and thanks for running out, because as much as I give this movie shit, Day of the Dead is not even worth existing.
No
a remake. So
either one of them.
I mean, I love both George's Dawn and Day. Day is my favorite over Dawn, but they're both excellent movies. But and they did like a sequel. Everything I've seen that had the Day of the Dead name attached to it was shit. So
yeah.
They're blasphemy. Watch this, don't watch those.
Right, exactly. So if I were to rate this movie, I would rate this one probably 4.5 out of 5 for myself. I personally think it's a solid movie, other than a couple of things like the zombie baby and some of the dialogue and like Sarah Pauli's character not really feeling like an actual lead character in this movie. Those are kind of the downsides for me. But otherwise, I think everything else is pretty solid. So I would definitely, no, actually not 4.5 out of 5. I would probably do 4 out of 5 just based on those things.
Well, I'll give it a 3. But since they named it Dawn of the Dead, I'm giving it a 2.5. They should have named it Attack of the Zombies, something, man, anything but Dawn of the Dead. And I might appreciate this movie a little more. I can't get over it. That's just me.
Understandable.
No, but it's a 3, man. It's a decent flick. There's a couple things that bug me. It's your typical early 2000s horror, I guess. So.
Sure. All right. Well, we would also love to know what you guys think. You can always reach out to us through our social media. We're on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, all at CLS Podcasts. We definitely hope that you guys enjoyed this week's show. Next week, we'll be closing out our Remake Madness month with taking a look at not George Romero's The Crazies, but the remake of George Romero's The Crazies from 2010. That's another one I really enjoy, like I had mentioned. So I'm looking forward to revisiting that again and talking about that next week. But as we leave, are there any final words as we go?
Well, there's 2 things, man. One I meant to mention before we got into the movie, but hopefully he's listened this far, and man, he's a long-time listener, man, faithful listener, and he's a good friend of ours. I just want to give a special shout out to the Dockin, man. Like, he's been having some trouble, and CLS has got your back, man, in your corner. You need anything, just let us know. And we love you, man, so get better. And my final kind of just random thought is, if the road to hell is paved with good intentions, then who's in heaven? So, my last thought of the day. So.
It's kind of a heavy thought. Oh, I love it, though. But yeah, definitely Dockin, if you're listening. We hope that you're getting better here. We do love you, dude. So get better soon. But with that, we will see you guys next week.
This episode of the Crystal Lake Soldiers podcast is brought to you by the Slash and Cast Podcast Network. Check us out at www.clspodcast.com or join in the conversation on social media. You can find us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, all at CLS Podcast. Until next time, stay safe, campers.